Today, this is the third session of Flutter Festival, and I will explain what is navigation in Flutter. So, while explaining, we will build the following app. So, yes, output. It will be a simple app. It has a list of tasks. Everything is clickable, and while you click it, it makes a new screen with a description and two buttons. And when we click either of button, we get an output key. Yes, that page has given yes healthy response. So while doing this as a no, if we say that this is no. So this is the basic idea. And after building it, we will continue on the weather app we were building. So for the uninitiated, this is the final app like I'm thinking to build after the end of session, or end of this festival, to be specified. So if I try something like Mumbai and press enter, the current weather at Mumbai will come. Like it is 36 degrees. You can also see here, and this is the idea. This is the plan of what I want to build after at the end of this festival. Today's target will be to just add this part and text and search button, not all the web thing that is happening. So if I add something like Mumbai, this page will pop. Only this part we will implement today. So yeah, so let's get started. I have already made a default starting app. Like this is the app which is auto generated after the Flutter project starts. So let me just put everything. Yeah, this will be the app. So let's start first with. Uh, let's open the app for reference. Yes. So the first part we want to add is of a list of widgets which are clickable. So let's just start with adding a list view and list styles. So for that, we update it. So yeah, my home page will go full. And then list widget with the same name, my home page. Let's add a title, final string title, and add this as a parameter to the constructor. So required this dot title. So if I run everything, you will see that this is black screen. So let me just add the scaffold. CAFFOLD, FR, title, text with title. So yes, the clean slate has been generated. So the next part was to add a list. So for that, we will add a list view to the body. Body list view with children as like in this app there were 20 tasks. So a simple for loop int I 0 I less than 20 plus plus right. Right. Let's do this also. And inside the list view we need a list style. So list style title as chronological task $I. Perfect. I forgot to add a text. So yeah, the main part is done. The list view is uh, added. Now before moving to the part about what I, what I will do next, let me just give you a little bit of theory. So before that, okay, yes, increase the font. Really sorry. Is it okay right now? Yep. So let me just tell you what I did again. So Here's the app. There's like this function is predefined, which like just runs the app which is running. This page is the thing you see here, where you are building a scaffold, which is like this blue app bar with this body part. In the app bar, you are adding a title, which is a text, and this title is provided here. So Flutter homepage demo, and in the body, you are making a list view. So like this is a list, a scrollable list, and like it's a view of it. And as a children, you are adding a list type. So this the single entity task 0 is a type. Wait, I opened the wrong app. Yeah. So same thing. So this is all tiles, and is it okay till now? Before I move on to the theory part. Okay, I think so. It is clear. Maybe rename the differentiated completely. Uh, that will require the total software restart. So for now, let's just skip it. I have remembered how it looks. I will just procedurally build it. So no problem around that. So let me go to the theory part. So like in Flutter, you want uh, this is not required. So yeah, so in Flutter, you want to build like everything as this form. So the UI which you see here should be a function of something called state. State, you can think of it as data. So consider like this is a to do app, and it has something called to dos. Like that defines something as to do, which has like that heading and some description. Like I will code this along the way, but just stay with it. So let me just open the whiteboard. So what I'm telling is, so here you know that vi is equal to function of state. In the app we are building, consider the state as a list of to dos, where every to do is it has a task and it has something description. Like description is not visible here. Uh, description. So every to do has a task and description, and we are displaying a list of to dos. So and here f is the build method that we have created. So this build method is drawing the part of data inside this UI, which is like the whole screen. So like, is this part somewhat clear? Because I will code it. So not no problem there. It will like, strengthen your the thing I'm explaining. Cool. So as I mentioned, where is the code? We need something to define a to-do, which is a task and a description. And for that, I'm making another class, task to-do. It has two things, uh, final string title, task, and final string description. description. And let's make a constructor const to-do required this dot task this dot description. For now, I have made everything like it is required. You can also add like question mark and stuff to define this is a nullable. So let's not go into that. Okay, so yeah, we have made a class 2, and now we need to define it in the like build function in such a way that the drawing function is not related with the data inside, like to do. So so before the build, let me just build a to-do, because like in real life this to-do will be supplied by user, but that's for simplifying the stuff I'm about to build. Let's define a to-do. So var to-dos is equal to similar thing for loop. Then I define a to-do with with task as task $I, and description as uh, this is the task $I, and I have to complete. So like basically anything you want to add. So yeah, so I've made this. Now I want to use this to do's inside my list view. So there are two ways to do it. You can do the same thing as I did, like inside this for, I just change this to like to do's I dot task. But let me define another way, because more things to consider. So I'm using a builder here. So what builder does is that based on the index is builds the thing you want. So rather than for loop, I am like delegating the for loop to the this builder itself. So I'm using context and index. And I am returning a list style with title as use idx dot task. Okay. Again, I forgot to add the text. So this is done, but this has a problem. So let me. Can anyone guess what the problem is? Yep. So what is happening? If I like scroll downward, you will see that like the index, the item builder is requesting index of like above 20, and because this is above 20 and the list itself is of size only 20, so this is giving an error. So range error, value not included. So for that we have to define something called item count. Item count will be to use dot length. Let me just restart it. What this item count is doing is that it tells the list view builder to see, like there are this many items and you should not go past. So you will see that there is now a slider which you can like it as a defined limit. Cool. So let's just add this because yes. So okay, this part is done. Now we want to add that if we click it, something happens. Like something happens. So uh, for that, every list style has a property called on clicked, I believe. Okay, on tap. So just define on tap, which is like something which will happen if I tap this list type. And you can use gesture detector, but I don't think it will be required because like we are just type tapping. Like list style itself has an inbuilt on tap, so I'm using that only. Okay, so yeah, function on tap. For now, let's just define an alert. Okay, like we have clicked this part, so show alert. Show dialog context builder, things like it takes context. Dialog which takes title. Let's give the title as ideas. Yeah, sorry for that. Uh, happening. Okay. I am doing the same mistake every time. Yeah. So now you can see that every list style is clickable, and like an alert comes that yeah you have clicked the task file. Like the title is defined here. So this is just to make the task clickable. For making like for like making generating another page, we have to make another like page like a scaffolder, another scaffold for example. So let me just define another. Let it be stateless widget. Let its name be to do page. To-do page. And I know that I will use only one to do to display here. So like my plan is whenever I click a task 4 in a page, task 4 will be the heading, and inside it will be a description of like that task. So for that I'm defining a final to do, and I am adding require this dot to do. Cool. So after that I'm adding stuff. Like I'm building the page, so I see scaffold and yeah, app bar title text which has to do dot task. Cool. So this is done, but now we need a method to uh, like generate that page when we click the icon. So I think it should be clear that we have to change the on tap part, right? So give me a second, then we will continue. Yeah. So on this on tap, rather than show dialog, we will do some like navigation, like the thing I wanted to cover today. So let's me do all that. I'm doing navigation, navigator, dot push. So navigator dot push required and context and a route. So for that, I'm defining material page route with builder which asks takes a context and return a widget. So context, and we need to return a widget, and like this widget is a page, so we are defining to do page to do as because we have the idx here. I'm just to do and assign. So yeah, now everything should be okay. Let's try. Yeah, so a page is coming with the app bar title as whatever the task we click. If I click task 14, a page is coming with task 14. Is it clear till now? Like the main part you have to take care of this part for navigation, like generating a page when you click on something. So is it clear till now? Okay, so what's the doubt? I maybe can help if you have any. Oh, cool. Okay. So Well then, let's continue. Before going forward, I would like just to confirm that I'm following what I decided. We made a to-do class. We just added the clickable alert dialog. We did the entire. Okay, navigator push. Okay, so this yes. So continuing on. Now we will add stuffs here. So in the page, I'm adding a body. And scaffold with body. Let it be center with height as let it be text and uh, blue or yeah. So like for every task, its corresponding description is coming. Like because I have used a for loop to generate like the same task and description. So like same format is coming, but like all these to dos are different. So you can add different also. So like, for example, just add to do dot add dot add, and I'm adding a to do task as uh, complete assignment, for example, and description. Uh, assign- Assignment is about Flutter. Yeah. So you will see that last part is task is entirely changed. The name is not uh, this, and after that, like also the description is changed. So all the to dos are independent of each other, like except like being in a same list. So cool. So after that, I want to tell you about how to get out. So one way to get out is already present here. So like Flutter itself adds a back button, but in in case you don't want to add this whole app path, so there will be no way to go out. So you have to add a way. So that's why that is what I will be doing. So I want a button like down of this description which will pop back. Like, uh, so I'm adding a column here first, and most probably this will go up. Yep. And for that, I'm adding a main axis alignment which will be center. So yeah, and inside the children, I'm adding an elevated button which is like on pressed, which will do something. I will come back to it. And child will be a text which is telling go back. So yeah, we have a button which is telling go back. And don't worry about the padding margin. I will add it afterwards. So on press, like like similar to there was a push here. There is also a function called pop, which pop the current page out of the stack, like navigation stack. So it will be like navigation pop. Right. So if I do not reload, if I go back, you can see that it is doing the same thing as the background. It is popping the screen back. Okay, so this was another part. We have discussed pushing and popping. So I'm stopping here and asking again, is there any doubt? Any more doubt? Uh, One way is to remove the remove the app bar itself. Other way is to like define like a custom icon here. So like in the tab bar, you can see that there is a leading. So if you like define a leading, so let me do it right now. Leading most probably takes a widget, right? So you can see here that it is a widget to display before the title. So you can see that this is displaying before the title. It is typically leading widget becomes leading uh, many things. But if I define an icon button, icon and icon anything, icon dot back, right? Anything. Let's make it this. Why is my computer? Icon, dot. Let it be backhand, and will most probably ask that on press is missing. So in the icon button here, on pressed, and I am telling it to not do anything. Uh, uh, so you can see that now nothing is happening. So like you can remove it entirely, or you can change it to whatever you want, but it's up to you. Like you have to change the leading. So for now, I am removing. So is this clear? Like is the doubt clear? Good, good. So just make it not make it. So our uh, next part was to add two buttons, and based on what we press, uh, we want to display on the actual like the starting page, like we have what we have clicked. So for that we have to uh, return data from the page, right? So we will return the button. I reload it. I don't know why is it not working. Yeah, it is reloaded. So my the next part is to add a two button, yes or no, and based on what I click, I want it to have data here, like on the main page. So I'm like from the push page, I'm like the push page is returning a data to the calling the function calling page. So for that, there is a part in navigation.pop. It is saying result, and this is also like question mark, and it is okay. So before that, I am making two buttons. So if I'm wrapping it in a button bar, it will run and tracking it. So yeah, also button bar alignment will have fixed. So alignment in access alignment is found. Like it's up to you what you want to do. So and let's make this as yes. So yes. And another like you can Yeah, so we have two buttons. It is generally told like one should be an elevator and one should be text view. Like it is a UI thing, but I'm not following here. You can do it, of course. So something like this constant. And most if I did this line, both of the button will do the same thing, which is navigator.pop. Now we have to return some part based on what we are clicking. So you can see there are two on press function. One both are doing same thing, and but they are on different buttons. So in here we can like there is a parameter as I said before. There is something called result, which is an so I am returning a yes here. I'm I am returning a no here. So what will happen is that uh, if I click anything, you will see that nothing is happening. I will explain why that is, but before that, I want to tell what is this part. So navigator dot push return something called future something future type. So we have to like know what this is. So so I'm again going into theory. Okay, so this is a thing. Before going into that, I'm like the first thing you have to know that what is the future. So everything that waits for some time to be completed is called a future. So you can think of future as something which should have a data but it is not present yet. So it will come sometime after. And there are multiple async await and many things, and like it has very huge implication of how it works and what is works. So the main thing you have to remember is that for getting a data, like for waiting for a future data, we use something called await. And if we are using the await keyword anywhere in the function, we have to mark that function as async, like asynchronous. Like there are many more theory that where it happens, like async is essentially asynchronous. So those things happen. For that I have also linked uh, entire set of videos. Like it is purely theoretical. So if you I will share this ppt, so don't worry about that. So let's start. Let's continuing on. So navigator.push is returning a future t. So let me just define a data where data is equal to I'm doing await because I'm waiting for this future part for this like await navigator.push. We know that this push will give string because I have provided strings here. So we can also define this type as string. And because we are using await, we need to add async here. Like mark the function as async. So is this what I did? Is it like straight clear? Like why I added a wait, why I had added a sync, and what is future? Like big picture. All right. So continuing on, we have a data, but it is string question mark. This means that like this string can be empty also. So in the case that I didn't click any button and just went back, so no data is popped, but no data is provided by navigator pop. So we have to care about those, like the cases where data is not returned at all. So for that part, like I want to display something when the data is present, and also the data is like data has the string is not empty. So for that I'm using if data question mark, like I'm just telling that question mark that it is checking that it is empty or not. If it is not empty, like if it is not null, I am checking that the string is empty or not. So if it is not empty, but when this question mark test fails, so when the data is null, I want it to return false. So let me again tell what this is happening. So yes, I understand. So let me just bring the whiteboard. Any moment. Yeah, so I'm removing all this. So we are checking two things. One, the data is present or not. Like, is the data is the data even returned by that navigator push thing or not? And another is the string empty or not? So this is just a protective case because I don't want to like send out a empty thing. So like this is empty means is data is equal is equal to this one. So I'm doing two things here. So what happens is that first it is doing data, then it is checking that if it is present or not. If this present test fails, it will return false. This entire thing will return false. If the data is present, we are checking that is the data empty or not. And based on this result, we are doing whatever the if part we want to do. So is uh, is this clear or should I repeat once more? Yeah, so let me just define again. Like let's just remove this part. So uh, okay. So the thing is it is checking the data. Like this question mark just defines this is a check for nullity. So whenever data is null, this test fails and this false happens. So let's just continue. If the this part is empty, what I want is like something from here should pop up and tell what is like the print the data. So those things that were popping up from the bottom is called a snack bar, and it is a property of scaffold. So will be scaffold messenger dot of context. So like this context is a scaffold, so it will go up the tree and detect what scaffold we want. Then we want to show snack bar with a snack, snack bar with content as text and data. And also because data is like nullable type, this exclamation point means well, this exclamation means that this data will be made null with like if this does not contain data, it will throw, else it will show the data. So the only reason I am able to add this and not care about throwing is because I have checked it already. All right. So let's just do this. Yep. Yes, it's coming, but there is an error. So you can see that like these are getting queued. I want them whenever I clicked it, this in the current part should remove, then the new part should come. So before this, just do this. There is another function of scaffold messenger. It is telling uh, dot clear snack bar. So what it does is that if there is any snack bar, okay, so remove all snack bars currently in queue by clearing the queue and running normal exit animation of the current snack bar. So whatever the data was present in the queue, like whatever it was being stored, it cleared everything and shows the new one because of this. So Let me restart it again. Yeah. So yes, then it gets removed. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. So this was just an example. A real life use case, if you want, is to like maybe add something into this data by having a plus button here. You do the plus, you enter the title, description, and add it to the list. And after adding it, like freeze, like I have to make this like stateful and like set state and add the new task. So that is one like real life example usage. Like there are other ways of using it that also like using provider consumer. So to you, but that is a way you can use this returning data. So is everything clear till now? Yes. So the next part of our agenda was to add it in the Flutter, like the weather output. So in the last part, we just uh, okay, in the last part we just made this UI. Now we like target will be to add this text field, like a text, a button which uses the text and like not any searching of some sort, like not this checking, but just pushing this page to the navigator. So let me just open that file and like, start the build. While that, you all can like, take a 5 minute break or something. So, yeah, so I'm like turning off camera and mic on. So, like, let's take a break and for like let's meet at 6:50. All right. So you ready? Like it will be a small addition, but yes. So let's continue. So you can see that this is all the UI. Let me because like I want to make 2 pages. I want that I know that this build method and everything is of this page. So let me add a new page. So let's new file. Let's name it at that page. And like it will be copy pasting for some time. So it stateless widget at the page and uh, my app. So this will have to move. Yeah, and let's go to time widget. Like you can add the time widget at a different page also, but I'm doing it here on so it should work. And for now, just let's just make a button in the first page to like navigate here. So in the build part, I'm making a scaffold with body as uh, like for starters, just make an elevated pattern. Button with contrast will be like the same thing. Navigator dot push contrast with material view the builder as text will be the page and size as the defined search. Oh, for the term. Yeah, so like just for now, there is a search button which is like pushing the like the thing we made. So I think this should be clear part. So just like making a UI and everything now. So elevated with so the button will come at center. So then let's make it a column. So this search will come here most probably. Yep. And in the column I define main axis alignment as center. Here then there was a child which was a text view. Like you can enter text here. So that widget name is text view. Field. Yeah. And let's just start with it and the text field should appear. Yeah, but let's also add a container here. Like I want to add a margin, so margin will be constant. All and uh, yeah. Now like the general UI is built, and like if I press search, it happens. Now we want to like I want to add a thing like it should scale with this app, but at the same time not cover this entire screen. So for that, we use something called media query. So let me just add it. Like I am adding a width to the container so that this inside text field is limited. So I'm adding a width, and I'm using a media query. Query dot size dot width. Let's make it 5 to 40. So you will see that this like this text view size, which is like inside the container. So this text view size is now half of the width, and it will like be responsive. So like the width is increasing as the so that. So is this clear what I did? Like this part. Good. So I want to make it a bit longer, so let's make it 1.5. Right. So let's like main part is done. Let's add some more decoration into the text field. I want the text to start from middle. So uh, there was a part called text align. So what text align does is that it defines from where this cursor starts. So type is text align dot center. So you will see that uh, this will start from middle. And even because I want to like tell what to enter here, so I am adding a decoration I'm adding a hint. So for that we use decoration. It will be this type as text input decoration. Decoration with hint text as place. Cool. So you can see that there's a hint of enter place when I write it. Those part it comes. Like those this part that's like removed. When I add anything, that hint disappears. Okay, so the next part I want to add is passing the data to screen. So I want whatever I write here is translated into this part or anywhere in the screen. So uh, for that there is a field in text field called controller, and from that controller you can get this text and you can pass it on to the screen. Okay, so this the idea looks good enough. Okay, so let's start. First, I want to add like passing the data part in the weather page. So I want to add like, something here, so which gets translated to the weather page. So let me just add final string title here. Required is dot title, and what and I wanted to add in the app part. So let me hit title. Okay, so you will see that there is an error, and now the one of the important thing you see you can observe that this like this text is changing while the program is running. So for that we need a stateful widget. So uh, I'm changing it to stateful widget and adding a text controller. So let me just see what the text field controller. Let's type this text editing controller. So that's a final text editing controller. Making it private because I don't want any other inheritor to access it. So the thing is here is that this is not initialized. So for now, I'm making it late because the thing with controller is that it needs to be manually disposed. So yeah, I just told that. I just used late. So the thing with text editing controller is that it is one of these widgets which needs to be manually disposed and initialized. So I'm defining an init state. So what it is that this function gets executed once when this widget is generated, like executed or generated, whatever you want to call. So I'm adding controller as text editing. Okay. So here I have defined this controller as reference to this object, and I will also have to add dispose. So dispose here I am doing controller dot uh, okay. So uh, like okay, why should we dispose? So the thing is uh, the controller is an object which is using more stuffs inside. So text editing controller might is using like more data inside, which also needs to be deallocated when we are like destroying the widget. Yeah, I will come to that. So if we don't dispose, first of all, Flutter will throw error, and in the hypothetical case, like which happens in C, that if we don't deallocate it, RAM, like RAM consume, there will be something called memory leak, and it will consume RAM with the runtime. Like Flutter is smart enough to detect that and directly give us error. So like if you don't want to go that inside, just remember there might be some widgets where you have to call the dispose method. Just like having a black box approach also works here. So in the weather page, like controller, oh, not like this. So I added it in. I added it in the bracketing. So like I have to define the title. Have to add send it as key pair. So here is the controller dot text. So now it should work. So if I add anything, it should. Yep. I was. Yes. The thing is that we didn't add the controller in the text field yet. So let's add it. Now everything should work. So it's should come in. So there are. Uh, so like the another small thing I want to add. If I press enter at the text field, you can see that like you cannot see if I'm pressing enter or not. But when I press enter, this is the like I want it to like the search. I want it to search it as if I'm clicking the button. So what I'm doing is that I want to abstract it away as a function abstract method, and I'm taking it as uh, give result, generate result. What's name should I give? Send data. So there is a send data, which is like I don't want any return part from this. So I'm not going to return anything. And send data context, and along with it, text field has a part called when submitted. So on submitted, I am calling send data. Uh, So now, uh, yeah, is the target is most probably finished. Yeah, so V is like this V defines the text that is entered here. Because I am using the controller dot text, I don't need it. So I can also define it as underscore because I don't need it. Like V is for value. I define V is for value. So like when I press enter, this on submitted get executed with this if I named it as V, this V will be a string which is SDF. I don't need it, so like, I just added it. So I think it should work. Yes. Yes, I Okay, so uh, like my cursor is not in the search, it is somewhere else. I'm just doing this and pressing enter. Like that entire part is coming. Okay, so last part. What if there is no text here? I don't want it to be blank. So I want if the text is empty, I return some my choice stuff. So uh, and do something like this. If it is empty, I'm returning Mumbai. Else, I'm returning this. But but this is too long, so let me just define a data. Uh, where text is equal to this, and in place of this, I'm just adding text. This is my preference. You cannot. So yeah, let's try it again. I pressed anything, enter, this data came. I pressed anything, search, this data came. Okay, another thing, I'm really sorry, but I want this to like get removed after I press the search. Right? This should be a something that should happen in Google because like I search something, then I don't want the previous value again. So for that, you can clear the text by this part. So it is called controller dot. It is most probably clear, right? Yes, so this should run. So if I search it, you can see that this part is clear. But if you like, I don't know if it is visible on your side or not, but you can see that it is getting like cleared while this animation is running. So so let me just add this. The Flutter is powerful enough, so I don't think this will also matter. So like what it is doing, first it is pushing, then it is clearing. So first the screen will appear, then it will happen. So that's a minor thing, but so main takeaway I want you to like, take from this. Okay. Yeah. So whenever I'm not entering anything and doing search, I have decided that this text should go. So Mumbai is good. If I want something else, like for example, I'm doing YOLO. I have to start it. You can see that YOLO. So it is up to preference. Like you can also like ignore it whatsoever. So like this was just to show what we can do. The main part is that based on this text, I am doing an API call and getting data from it and displaying it here. So rather than this fixed Mumbai Maharashtra 30 degrees Celsius, it will get data from the API and display it here. So this part is not also required, just for showing what should happen. So so let's stop till here. So let me just give you like some idea about what we will do in the next lecture. In the next lecture, we will do a provider. Like we will like try provider package, and like if you have seen the Google I/O 2019, like, there was a screen which has a graph and a slider, and based on the slider, this graph was moving, and it was implemented using provider package. So I will explain that only. So, okay, so stay tuned and bye bye.